Hi, this is Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Saturday, April the 8th, 2023. We're going to focus on Good Friday, which was last night in today's Daily Devotions. Reading, in this instance, from the Gospel of John, John 19, verses 16 through 18, and then 28 through 30. And then he handed him over to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus, and carrying the cross by himself, he went out to what is called the place of the skull, which is in Hebrew called Golgotha. And there they crucified him, and with him two others, one on either side, with Jesus between them. After this, when Jesus knew that all was now finished, he said, in order to fulfill the scripture, "I am thirsty." A jar full of sour wine was standing there. So they put a sponge full of the wine on a branch of hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the wine, he said, "It is finished." And then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. As we just heard in the Gospel of John, Jesus' last words from the cross, his final words before he gave up his spirit and surrendered his life, were, "It is finished." Nothing more was said. Nothing more could be said. His long ordeal was now over. His excruciating pain and suffering had finally and mercifully come to an end. The taunting and beatings had surely taken their toll. The utterly false accusations and flimsy made-up charges had accomplished their ugly purpose. Jesus' enemies had won. They'd finally succeeded in silencing this humble and beloved rabbi once and for all. Those who had conspired against him and orchestrated his arrest and execution had succeeded. They were the apparent victors in this profoundly sad and tragic series of events. It is finished. It's over. It's done. That's all, folks. A rather sad and regrettable ending, don't you think? A life and a ministry, a cause even that had shown so much hope and so much promise, had been snuffed out, had died a criminal's death in the most hideous of ways by crucifixion, the ultimate defeat, if you will. It is finished. According to John, those were Jesus' final words. Of course, there have been other last words remembered in history. For example, "Heaven has turned against me. The hour of my death has come." The Chinese philosopher Confucius in 479 BCE. "There's nothing proper about what you're doing, soldier, but do try to kill me properly." The Roman statesman Cicero in 43 BCE when facing an assassin sent by a rival. "Hold the cross high, so I may see it through the flames." Joan of Arc, the French military commander and Christian mystic in 431 AD. 1431. "We are beggars, this is true." Martin Luther, 1546. "All my possessions for a moment of time." Elizabeth I, the Queen of England, 1603. "The taste of death is upon my lips." Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the Austrian composer, 1791. "Lord, help my soul." Edgar Allan Poe in 1849, quoting one of his poems. "Well, boys, do your best for the women and children and look out for yourselves." Edward Smith, 1912, the captain of the Titanic, giving his last orders before walking onto the bridge and staying with the sinking ship. And finally, "I want to go when I want. It's tasteless to prolong life artificially. I've done my share. It's time to go." Albert Einstein in 1957, while declining surgery the day before his death. Notice how in each of these examples there seems to be a sense of resignation and even regret of simply accepting one's fate because there are no other choices available. All other options have been exhausted. Jesus' last words seem to be very much the same, don't they? At first glance, they certainly seem to be no different. A weary resignation to his fate, a simple surrendering to the forces that had been marshaled against him and have now succeeded in forever silencing him. But are they? Are they the same? His words, that is. Now, to be sure, the Greek word translated as finished in John 19, verse 30 is in fact translated correctly. It certainly does mean that. But you see, that's not the only way that it can be translated, however. Yes, it means finished, but the Greek word teleo can also be translated by the word complete, or the word fulfilled, or even the word accomplished. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because these words paint a far different picture, don't they? They offer a far different perspective. They make a different impression. And therefore, using one of these words can actually lead us to a very different conclusion as well. It is finished certainly seems at face value to be an expression of sad resignation and even hopelessness. But now let's insert those other words in its place. It is complete. It is fulfilled. It is accomplished. Consider this, it is complete would seem to indicate that his death was not an unfortunate or tragic accident, but rather something Jesus somehow embraced, intended even. And it is fulfilled carries with it the sense that these events, as tragic as they may have seemed at first glance, were not arbitrary or simply a matter of chance or circumstance. In other words, that Jesus' death on the cross was actually an integral part of God's plan. And finally, it is accomplished certainly conveys the idea, the sense that a particular purpose or specific mission has been achieved. These translations are a lot different, a whole lot different. They open up the possibility of a far different ending to the Jesus story. They offer a tantalizing hint that maybe, just maybe, Jesus' death on the cross is not the final outcome, that perhaps there's something more yet to come. And that's precisely where we must leave it for now, with his death on the cross, with his final words, "It is finished." You see, for now, we must wait. Wait until the morning of the third day, when God gets the final word. Hoping that you can join us tomorrow on Easter morning for our services at 9 and 11, either in person or joining the live stream, or if you're unable to somehow be there tomorrow morning to watch our Easter services sometime during the following week. Certainly hope that you can avail yourself of that. And just as a note, I'm going to be away, and so there won't be daily devotions next week, but I will return on Tuesday, April the 18th. Until then, take care, have a blessed and joyous and hope-filled Easter. Until I'm back again with this, take care. Be well. Bye-bye.